Live any second.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, shoot. I don't have chat up.
Uh-oh.
Okay, let me get into chat really
We got
fast.
Vicky and Beautiful and Witchy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me find y'all.
Oh, what did I giggle at last night? Thermo made a clip. He took some of yours and some of Monty's. Did you see that one yet?
The Sean thing?
Yeah, it's just Sean.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he didn't use mine. He used Ricada and he used Monty. I don't think he used any of mine. Yeah, no. I did see it though. That was freaking hilarious.
Because he really was turning into Sean or turning into Monty. What's that saying? Be wary of the beast you battle, yet ye become a beast.
Wait, maybe I didn't see this. Who's turning into Monty?
Ricada is acting exactly the way Monty was acting, saying Sean.
You think that's what the comparison was, or do you just think?
Yes, that's what I think the comparison was.
Oh.
They were trying to show Nick parallel Monty, saying the exact and with the same like Sean, like the angry Sean, like how Nick was angry at Sean.
Do you watch Thermo's show?
No.
Apparently they talked about it before they made the video and on their live show on Saturday. And he said when he heard, I could be getting this a little bit wrong, but when he heard the Sean, repetitive Sean from Monty, it reminded him of Ricada saying Sean so much. And somebody in chat was like, you got to make a video of this. And they're like, I think we will. And then the video.
See, that's how I love how fucking videos and clips are like birthed.
And if you look at it, it seems like there was no reuse. It wasn't like he was just doing it for effect.
No, it was all.
It was that many times was new saying the names. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
okay,
I got a good chuckle out of that. I think I shared it.
It's Monday today, so today we're going to talk about the law. We're going to take the law into our own hands.
Whoa.
Literally though, because we have paperwork. So today, and we talked about this before, it turns out the Supreme Court has vindicated our thought that Colorado was wrong and you couldn't remove Trump based on the 14th Amendment section something. Now I don't forgot. 3. 14
I was right. He wasn't an officer. Nova was vindicated by the Supreme Court. No, I know.
Whoever Nova watches was right because he does repeat that.
No, we did this together. We went through it all together, and I said I don't think that he's an officer, and he said you might be right.
Is that true?
I think so. There's documented proof somewhere on Rumble.
Good morning, Libtarded. Good morning, Inappropriately Said. Oh, did you hear my neck crack?
Was that your neck?
Yeah, I almost died.
Can you move your toes? Wiggle your toes.
Yeah. What if I couldn't?
You're in trouble.
Oh, well, I can. Whew.
Then you'd be paralyzed.
So I knew that today we were going to be doing a show on whatever the Lord handed us. I figured there'd be something. I was kind of hoping for the Fanny judge to come out with something today. It was really just
no, he's going to wait till the last. How long does he have? Does he have like 30 days or 90 days? What?
It's a good question. I don't know how long he has. I think just. I'm not sure.
Remember, he donated.
Do you know how old this guy is? He donated $150. That's like nothing.
It still means he likes her and supported her at the time.
Politics is politics. How old do you think this guy is?
50, 49, 47.
35.
Really?
For real.
What's wrong with why are all these men bald? What are they drinking? Soy?
Did it say he's a vegetarian?
Oh, that'll do it.
I might be getting him confused with somebody else.
I
just was so shocked. I'm like, no way. I've seen him every day. He's mature. Because 30, no offense, but 35 doesn't give you the vibe. It must be the robe that gives him the air of
weird
maturity, I guess. I don't know. Okay.
But he has been very lenient for Fanny. I've been watching the case. But I think he's still gonna shoot her in a barrel because that's where she's sitting right now.
I don't think they left him with much of a choice.
That's what I mean. I don't think she's gonna. I think she's gonna be in trouble. I don't like. I think he doesn't want her to make her in trouble, but he's like, I can't. You're fucked.
If you left
It's
me
too obvious.
nothing, yeah, totally.
It's way too obvious.
He looks older than his age. Beautifully said Trump donated to Hillary
20, 30 years ago. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Trump anymore. I think he's just another.
He's off the Trump train. He's bashable. Bash him.
Right. Trump's on the bash train now. Gonna hold him to his feet to the fire.
They said even Fanny's hair is receding. That is a hot mess. She looked good. Like I think this is.
I heard that if you do your hair in braids and dreads and stuff too much, it like puts a lot of stress on the roots, and the roots will actually come out and you'll just start losing all your hair. Is that true?
Yeah.
I'm not a girl.
Probably, yeah. I got to show you something. I don't think I can make it any bigger though. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hopefully you can hear this. I don't really know how to control a short. I don't know what's going to happen after this. I don't know if it's the right volume, but it's funny. I promise.
For science.
Either they, them.
What?
That's their pronoun.
Okay, so how many were there?
Oh my God, one, you idiot. They're non-binary.
So does non-binary have a hole or a pole? We just need to clarify.
They who? Who them? Where what? Who's who? Who's who? They them? Or who?
We're having pronoun trouble again. Were they white?
No.
Were they black?
No, colour doesn't matter, you bigot.
Were they fat?
That's body shaming. Sorry.
What do they look like?
A human. That's who you're getting from me, you pig.
Okay, witness says we're looking for an angry, BO-smelling, pink-haired dog with a nose ring over.
They went that way.
Okay, male or female?
Oh, yeah.
Basically, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Shout out to Jimmy.
Although Australia, that could be considered a hate crime, making that video because people laughed at it.
Well, fuck Australia. They barely exist.
They don't exist.
Oh.
They got beat by Canada in sevens rugby the other day.
So I actually live in California. I live in a state that votes tomorrow on Super Tuesday. And when I was looking at this, I was like, well, we'll talk about Super Tuesday on Monday because it'll be perfect. It's 15 different states that vote in our primary and a bunch of other stuff. Like we also voted for judges and some representatives and shit. When I looked at the states that are voting, let me bring it up. Super Tuesday states. I noticed that Colorado was one of them. And I'm like, wait a minute. In that case, I feel like the Supreme Court might come back like now. And because they have said that he's already on there because it was printed, but that they wouldn't count them and they wouldn't even count write-ins if they were able to remove them. So it's like, damn, I figured that would
explain
create
the write-in thing to me. So you can just write in anyone you want as president?
Yeah.
And do they have to be on the official ballot, or can I like write your name in?
Yeah, you could write my name in. If they're on the ballot, you have to use the box next to their name. If you write in, you just write in somebody. Mickey Mouse type shit.
Gotcha.
There's like certain criteria. Obviously, hopefully your person meets it all, but yeah. Okay, which states do Super Tuesday? Here we go. Alabama, Alaska for Republicans only. Arkansas, California, Colorado, Iowa for the Democrats. Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia. We are all voting tomorrow in the presidential primary. I have a theory in California anyways.
Ooh.
So, I don't know how it is for you, but when you go vote, you show up at the voting place and they ask you your name and then they look around and make sure you're at the right spot in town. And then they hand you whatever. Here's your paperwork. Go vote.
Do you have to register?
Yeah, you register. You have to be registered to vote. But you can register at the table, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, can you? Here we have to pre-register and they send us a card in the mail and we get to bring that card down when we vote.
We don't have any of that type of shit. Hold on a second. Uno momente.
Somebody's awake. I wonder who it could be. What else was I gonna? Yeah. So in the Canadian news has been bragging about this Nikki Haley victory. Every Canadian news thing is like full blast. Nikki Haley wins. Nikki Haley wins. Nikki Haley wins. She won in D.C., the only place Trump never even bothered to fucking care about. And Nikki Haley didn't even win her own home fucking state. And Nikki Haley lost to, quote, none of the above. So the Canadian media is on We Love Nikki Haley. So they're basically, Canada's basically like CNN maple syrup. They don't report truth. They don't care about anything. But yeah, I don't understand why our media is in love with Nikki Haley. It's just fucking stupid.
She's a good surrogate, turns out.
Oh, who else? Oh, there was a late night talk. I can't remember who they were, but they're like, we need Nikki Haley. She's our default candidate. And like they were talking about the Democrats, and she's like, she's our Democratic candidate in the Republican Party. Like, now they're just saying it straight out loud. Like, as long as you bring in enough money, you can go and like take over another party, run with their name, and then fuck them from the inside like a Trojan horse.
Yay, yucky Haley, Tunty Haley.
She looks like the devil.
No, Witchy said you can register at the polling stations. It's just easier with the voting card.
Ah, there you go.
No such thing as hate crime. No such thing as hate speech. Just crime and speech, eh?
You don't like.
Yeah, usually it's speech you don't like. All right. So I haven't read this. I know that a lot of like the smarter folks have dove into this morning. So we're just gonna take it. It's only 20 pages.
Oh,
There's no, as far as I know, yeah. Then there's no Fanny thing because that's gonna be 30 days. So let's find out what the Supreme Court said.
So this means no other states can do it now, or just that state?
No others, right? No. They're letting you know that this isn't something that can happen using this.
You fuckers aren't playing this game anymore, right?
Right. Maine, Illinois. That's why did Illinois at the last minute? They were like, us too, by the way. Like, really? Days before it seemed reasonable that the Supreme Court would come back, you decided to be dickheads?
Yeah, it's weird that they're just doing it for the headlines. I think they're all just it's just lawfare. They just want the news and the headline, because all we get in Canada is Trump's going down. Oh, he's like, it's just everything is, we got him this time. I'm like, okay.
Well, Illinois and Maine didn't even have, there was no court involved. They're like, Colorado did it. They've already adjudicated it. And so there was no lawfare. There's no law involved in that. They were just like us too. Even though when Maine did it, they're like, okay, but he'll stay on the ballot, pending Supreme Court's decision. And then coming up to the time where you would expect the Supreme Court decision, Illinois is like, yeah, he's off our ballot too. It's like, why? It's almost like they needed whoever is in charge of that. They wanted to see if they would.
Yeah, testing their loyalty to the clan.
Yeah, that part. Oh, I never told you my theory. Okay, so my theory is that, so like I said, I vote in California and we vote tomorrow, and you have to go in, get your paperwork, vote, and on your, usually they give you like your pen and your paper and your sticker that says you voted. Since COVID happened, they send you your ballot stuff. Does this have any of my identifying information? I don't think so. They send your ballot stuff, and on your ballot stuff, now it comes with my sticker that says that I voted. So now I don't even really have to go in. I could virtue signal to the whole world and lie about voting, just put it on and never vote. So I hope, because Democrats are really good at just wanting to pretend, I hope that they don't vote. Hopefully they just stick on their sticker. And
what do you think about in-person voting? I think it's bad to do it. Even for like the vote for Republican, because I think the Democrats are waiting to see how many votes come in before, and then they know how many new ballots to print. So if you wait and vote the day of, it fucks them over more, or helps them not cheat as easily.
I am a fan of in-person voting. Was that your question?
Yeah. Like, I don't think everyone wants to be like, oh, I want to make sure they see that, I voted and get in there early, but I think it kind of hurts in the long run. Or it doesn't hurt. That's wrong. It doesn't hurt, but I think it gives the Democrats a better chance to cheat, because if they know they only need 4,000 votes, then they'll only print 4,001 documents. But if they have no idea how many people voted early or which way they voted, like, we don't know how many to print. Shit.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it probably does screw, if that's the system that they're using, like figure out how many pre-votes we have and then counter those during election day, and hopefully election day isn't so out of the ordinary that we have to pause and create the big F. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Don't let them see you coming.
Yeah. And like me, they sent this in. I could mail this in, or I just show up on election day and put it in the box and it's counted. That's what I do. I have the mail-in ballot that I just bring with me. I could surrender it there and vote in person, or I can just drop it there in the box. So I'm voting in person on the day with an absentee ballot, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I want to, because there was videos before, people like showing up to the ballot boxes like, you already voted. I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, yeah, you mailed your vote in like 2 months ago. I'm like, no, I fucking did not. Like, and then they wouldn't let that person vote. Like, how do you win that? So someone cheated and stole your info and voted for you.
That's weird to me, because they're usually, that's weird that they're keeping track like that.
Well, then you can't, because what people would do is they just go to every different polling station and vote all like 7 times. So they have to have a record of that you did.
That's why you have a polling station and you're like on the roster and they're like, here you go, here's your stuff. If there's 100 people registered to vote, they have 100 things. They don't have 700 just in case. Or maybe they have
because there was a town or a district where they had more voters than registered people in the entire county.
Which makes sense, because that's people, those, I noticed those were in the bigger cities. So people would go to work and vote, although they're registered, say, in their smaller little area. They still, like, they were in Phoenix, so they voted at lunchtime.
It wasn't that it was the population. So there was more people voted than there was population.
Exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying as well. Like, their population is lower because people are registered to vote in there. Say like Phoenix is a good example. I worked in Phoenix, but I lived in Surprise. Yeah. And I would drive into Phoenix and work. At lunch, I would stop and vote, say in Phoenix, drop your mail up. Now that's going to be voted or counted in Phoenix, but I'm not part of their population. I just vote there. That's why the big cities are like they are. They people concentrate and then they go home. That makes sense, because if you look at the cities around, their votes are also lower. It's not like there were cumulative excess votes. It was just, it looks bad at, like, just if you don't understand maybe that. I mean, it looks bad, like, if you don't understand that people. No, I mean, people are going to vote where it's convenient for them. That's why there's so many polling places in the bigger cities. So it would make sense to me that you would vote. Your job usually will give you time to vote as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, legally here they have to let you to work.
Okay, let's read this. I looked at the first 3 pages. I just did like a glance through it, and they're going to kind of recap, obviously, what happened in Colorado. So strap in for this. Is Div roboting for everyone or just me? Good question. In Georgia, you can only vote at your precinct, and it's based off your address. Yeah, that's how it is in California as well. Well, I've tended to a Power Ranger. I'm not sure if you caught my show last night, but I am part Power Ranger, and so that might make me robotic. I don't know.
What's your color, though? Are you pink?
I'm like purple and gold, sometimes blue.
What was the killer? The red one?
No.
Was he the murderer or the green one?
Not the green one. The green one did suicide. The red one was jealous. The pink one died in a car accident. One of them did murder. Maybe it was it was the black one.
Oh yeah, racism.
That might be wrong. That might be wrong. Yeah, that might be why I'm thinking that. But no, because actually I think that the Asian lady played the yellow lady, and they said a black guy was in the black suit. So that could have changed. The guy who stabbed his roommate with the sword played a ranger with a sword, apparently, but he was a white guy.
But I think that, I don't know. In my mind, I think he was the red one. I don't know
The
why.
red one was something. He had a specific name, and he didn't kill nobody.
Okay.
His name. He was. I had a whole talk with Daniel, a very professional.
Yeah, he'd be the one who would know.
He told me, yeah, and he was saying that the red guy was more jealous because the green guy got more shine. You know, people really, really liked him, and then, but the red guy's still around. He's just an asshole. Oh, and he's getting in trouble for fraud, I guess. I don't know why.
It's hilarious to me because you're in a full mask suit. They can just replace you anytime they want. It's not like you even have a just play your role, dude,
Yeah,
get
and
paid.
so in Japan, that's where this started. Their
Oh, is
first
it?
were
I thought it
called
was American.
Super,
My bad. Oh, okay. I'm learning.
Super Sentai. It was from the 70s, and
Oh.
they replaced their characters like that. Where, and I asked him about that. He said in America we get kind of attached to the same person playing a role, and in Japan they're just interchangeable. The red guy is a red guy. It's not like, I was like, huh, that's interesting. Makes more sense, you know, just to never know who's under there, because damn, I got to worry about his voice, everything.
Except when they changed, remember Fresh Prince when they changed Will Smith's mother to some new woman? That was a bad one.
I don't remember that. Just got a new mom.
They changed like one character and they completely got rid of her and brought in a new woman who didn't even look like her at all. And they just trying to pretend it like, oh yeah, this is our same mom. don't notice it.
Damn. I didn't notice it. They got me.
Oh yeah, the first one was like super dark, and the next, or was it? I don't know if it was dark to light or light to dark, but it was one or the other. And they switched them.
Aunt Viv? No, Aunt Viv was the aunt. His mom would have been the one who sent him. Who played his mom?
Aunt, yeah, the mother of the family that he lived with. I meant it was Aunt Viv. That's the one that they switched.
I do feel like I remember that.
And I liked the original one. I thought she was funnier than the new one.
Yeah, but how many years later did they switch it? Like who?
Right at the peak of the show, like right in.
No
right
way.
when it, yeah.
No way. Okay, they said the Blue Ranger was the stabby one. That was the Blue Ranger who was the stabby, and Blue Anon Ranger. Who's QAnon, Blue Anon. Oh, Blue Anon. Okay. Let's get into this.
Slip that right
what time is it? 25? We missed a cheers. I think because I'm just going to read, I'm going to do that with my camera off so I don't feel all super self-conscious.
Okay.
Cam. But I'm going to also partake in the devil's lettuce so I could be in the right frame of mind for getting these words wrong. At least you guys will think it's because I'm stoned and not stupid.
It's not the devil's lettuce. It's Mary Jane's lettuce after Mary.
What do you mean? It's Mary Jane's lettuce?
Don't demonize the weed. It's God gave it. All seed-bearing plants God gave to you.
Well, I mean,
it's holy lettuce.
Still be the devil's. Holy lettuce. It's set apart. Okay. Now that we've spoken to Mary, let's get into the Supreme Court of the United States. Came out with this today, March 4th. It's really like just a couple hours ago. This is hot off the presses.
This is breaking news.
Breaking news. A group of Colorado voters contends that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution prohibits former President Trump, who seeks the presidential nomination of the Republican Party in this year's election, from becoming president again. The Colorado Supreme Court agreed with that contention. It ordered the Colorado Secretary of State to exclude the former president from the Republican primary ballot in the state and to disregard any write-in votes that Colorado voters might cast for him. Former President Trump challenges that decision on several grounds because the Constitution makes Congress rather than states responsible for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates we reversed. Oh, so because you can't do this,
no.
we reverse. Oh, I didn't think they were going to say that soon. Okay, so Colorado decided that he couldn't become president under 14th Amendment, Section 3, and they.
Who were the voters? Was it like a super PAC or somebody, or just one lawyer? A group of Colorado voters contended Was it like
I think there were a few actually. Maybe they'll tell us. Last September, about 6 months before the March 5th, 2024 Colorado primary election, 4 Republican and 2 unaffiliated Colorado voters, there we go, filed a petition against former President Trump and Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold in Colorado State Court. So 4 Republican and 2 unaffiliated voters. So 6 people filed a petition against Trump and Secretary of State Jen Griswold. These voters, whom we refer to as the respondents, contend that after former President Trump's defeat in the 2020 presidential election, he disrupted the peaceful transition of power by intentionally organizing and inciting the crowd that breached the Capitol as Congress met to certify the election on January 6th. One consequence of those actions, the respondents maintain, is that former President Trump is constitutionally ineligible to serve as president again. Their theory turns on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Section 3 provides, quote, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector or of president or vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or an officer of the U.S. or any member of any, or as a member of any state legislature, or any executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. So Congress gets to decide, according to the text. According to respondents, Section 3 applies to the former president because after taking the presidential oath in 2017, he intentionally incited the breach of the Capitol on January 6 in order to retain power. They claim that he is therefore not a qualified candidate and that as a result, the Colorado Secretary of State may not place him on the primary ballot. The primary is tomorrow. That's why this is today. After a 5-day trial, the state district court found that former President Trump had engaged in insurrection. This is why Twitter went crazy and the blue tards hairs are, he did insurrection. They've not shut the fuck up about this since this happened, within the meaning of Section 3, but nonetheless denied the respondent's petition. The court held that Section 3 did not apply because the presidency, which Section 3 does not mention by name, is not an office under the United States, and the president is not an officer of the United States within the meaning of the provision. In December, the Colorado Supreme Court reversed in part and affirmed in part by a 4-3 vote, reversing the district court's operative holding. The majority concluded that for purposes of Section 3, the president is an office of the United States and the president is an officer of the United States. The court otherwise affirmed, holding, 1, that the Colorado Election Code permitted the respondents challenged based on Section 3, 2, that Congress need not pass implementing legislation for disqualification under Section 3 to attach, 3, that the political question doctrine did not preclude judicial review of former President Trump's eligibility, and 4, that the district court, that the district court did not abuse its discretion in admitting into evidence portions of a congressional report on the events of January 6, that the district court did not err in concluding that those events constituted an insurrection and that former Trump engaged in that insurrection, and 6, that former President Trump's speech to the crowd that breached the Capitol on January 6 was not protected by the First Amendment. The Colorado Supreme Court accordingly ordered Secretary Griswold not to list President Trump's name on the 2024 presidential primary ballot or count any write-in votes cast for him. Chief Justice Boatwright and Justices Samore and Birkenkotter each filed dissenting opinions. Under the terms of the opinion of the Colorado Supreme Court, its ruling was automatically stayed pending this court's review. So that's why he showed up on their ballot. He's printed on their ballots, just like I could show you mine, but I have Vivek on mine. Everyone who's really not even in the race anymore, they're still on mine because they were printed, long before this.
Do you vote for a vice president, or is it just you pick Trump and you get whoever you get?
Mm-hmm. He pick who he picks, which is why
it's his VP yet?
Beautifully thinks that he's waiting for this to kind of see how
Okay, yes, that's a good point.
all this kind of goes. Says, we granted former President Trump's petition for certiorari. I'm probably getting that wrong, which raised
no,
a
I think
single
that's right.
question. Did the Colorado Supreme Court err in ordering President Trump excluded from the 2024 presidential primary ballot? Concluding that it did, we now reverse. They believe that they erred in that. Proposed by Congress in 1866 and ratified by the states in 1868, the 14th Amendment expanded federal power at the expense of state autonomy and thus fundamentally altered the balance of state and federal power struck by the Constitution. Section 1 of the amendment, for instance, bars the state from depriving any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, or denying any person the equal protection of the law. And Section 5 confers on Congress's power to enforce those prohibitions, along with other provisions of the amendment, by appropriate legislation. Section 3 of the amendment likewise restricts state autonomy, but through different means. It was designed to help ensure an enduring union by preventing former Confederates from returning to power in the aftermath of the Civil War. I'm not sure. See something. There's a statement of Representative Stevens warning that without appropriate constitutional reform, yelling cessationists and hissing copperheads would take seat in the House. I don't know what's happening there. Another statement. State legislature made up entirely of disloyal elements absent of disqualification provision. Section 3 aimed to prevent such a resurgence by barring from office those who, having once taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, afterward went into rebellion against the government of the United States. Okay. That's kind of messy to get through. But basically, it's designed to help ensure the enduring union by preventing former Confederates from returning to power in the aftermath of the Civil War context. Section 3 works by imposing on certain individuals a preventative and severe penalty, disqualification from holding a wide array of offices, rather than by granting rights to all. It is therefore necessary, as Chief Justice Chase concluded, and the Colorado Supreme Court itself recognized, to ascertain what particular individuals are embraced by the provision. Chase went on to explain that to accomplish this ascertainment and ensure effective results, proceedings, evidence, decisions, and enforcements of decisions, more or less formal, are indispensable. For its part, the Colorado Supreme Court also concluded that there must be some kind of determination that Section 3 applies to a particular person before the disqualification holds meaning. What concluded there must be some kind of determination that Section 3 is applied to a particular person. Okay, before it holds meaning. Okay, so like has he been accused? Is that what they're saying here? There has to be a determination.
Sure.
The Constitution empowers Congress to prescribe how those determinations should be made. The relevant provision in Section 5, which enables Congress, subject, of course, to judicial review, to pass appropriate legislation to enforce the 14th Amendment. Or, as Senator Howard put it, at the time the amendment was framed, Section 5 casts upon Congress the responsibility of seeing to it for the future that all the sections of the amendment are carried out in good faith. Okay, so Congress is the boss. Congress's Section 5 power is critical when it comes to Section 3. Indeed, during a debate on enforcement legislation less than a year after ratification, Senator Trumbull noted that, notwithstanding Section 3, hundreds of men were holding office in violation of its terms. The Constitution, Trumbull noted, provided no means for enforcing the disqualification necessitating a bill to give effect to the fundamental law embraced in the Constitution. The enforcement mechanism Trumbull championed was later enacted as part of the Enforcement Act of 1870, pursuant to the power conferred by Section 5 of the 14th Amendment. Okay. This B. This case raised the question whether the states, in addition to Congress, may also enforce Section 3. We conclude that states may disqualify persons holding or attempted to hold state office. But states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency. In our federal system, the national government possesses only limited powers. The state and the people retain the remainder. Among those retained powers is the power of a state to order the processes of its own governance. In particular, the states enjoy sovereign power to prescribe the qualifications of their own officers and the manner of their elections, free from external interference, except so far as plainly provided by the Constitution, which is where they get fucked.
Right.
Although the 14th Amendment restricts state power, nothing in it plainly withdraws from the state this traditional authority. And after ratification of the 14th Amendment, states use this authority to disqualify state officers in accordance with state statutes. Such power over governance, however, does not extend to federal office holders and candidates, because federal officers owe their existence and function to the united voice of the whole, not of a portion of the people. Powers over their election and qualifications must be specifically delegated to rather than reserved by the states. Oh, that makes sense. But nothing in the Constitution delegates to the states any power to enforce Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates. As an initial matter, not even the respondents contended that the Constitution authorizes states to somehow remove sitting federal office holders who may be violating Section 3. Such a power would flout the principle that the Constitution guarantees the entire independence of the general government from any control by the respective states. Indeed, inconsistent with that principle, states lack even the lesser power to use writs of mandamus against federal officials or to grant habeas corpus relief to persons in federal custody. The respondents nonetheless maintain that states may enforce Section 3 against candidates for federal office, candidates in italics. But the text of the 14th Amendment on its face does not affirmatively delegate such a power to the states. The terms of the amendment speak only to enforcement by Congress, which enjoys power to enforce the amendment through legislation pursuant to Section 5. 7 pages to say the same thing so far.
Right. You got to make it look like scary.
This can hardly come you got to make sure that we really thought about this. This can hardly come as a surprise, given that the substantive provisions of the amendment embody significant limitations on state authority. Under the amendment, states cannot abridge privileges or immunities, deprive persons of life, liberty, or property without due process, deny equal protection, or deny male inhabitants the right to vote. On the other hand, the 14th Amendment grants new power to Congress to enforce the provisions of the amendment against the states. It would be incongruous to read this particular amendment as granting the states the power, silently no less, to disqualify a candidate for federal office. That seems reasonable. Seems like common sense is being applied. That's why this is the Cult of Reason episode.
It shouldn't even have gotten this far. Some court should have stopped this long time ago.
Yeah. But that's the problem with,
The
biased
slow-ass
courts
judicial
and
system.
it comes down to are you willing to argue it? Are you willing to put it out there and argue it so compelling that other people who have such a bias as yours are like, yep.
Well, the Democrats never even comprehended the fact that all the Republican states could just do this to their candidate, Gavin Newsom or Joe Biden, right? They could just remove him from all their fucking ballots. It's crazy they never even thought that far ahead.
Well, if there was an insurrection, the thing is that they call that riot an insurrection, and they're the only ones calling it that. And that I feel like is weird. The news called it that, but that doesn't mean that's really what that was.
Yeah, what's her Maxine Waters and them were like, go to their house, go to the fucking judge's house and stand in front of her house, make his life uncomfortable, inciting a riot at the judge's house, Supreme Court judge's house and stuff like.
But that's not, so they don't think you're right. That's part of the problem. Says The only other plausible constitutional source of such a delegation are the Elections and Electors Clause, which authorize states to conduct and regulate congressional and presidential elections, respectively. But there is little reason to think that these clauses implicitly authorize the states to enforce Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates. Granting the state that authority would invert the 14th Amendment's rebalancing of federal and state powers. The text of Section 3 reinforces these conclusions. Its final sentence empowers Congress to remove any Section 3 disability by a 2/3 vote of each House. The text imposes no limits on that power, and Congress may exercise it any time as the respondents concede. In fact, historically, Congress sometimes exercised this amnesty power post-election to ensure that some of the people's chosen candidates could take office. But if states were free to enforce Section 3 by barring candidates from running in the first place, Congress would be forced to exercise its disability removal power before voting begins if it wished for its decision to have any effect on the current election cycle. Perhaps a state may burden congressional authority in such a way when it exercises its exclusive sovereign power over its own state officials. Perhaps a state... But it is implausible to suppose that the Constitution affirmatively delegates to the states the authority to impose such a burden on congressional power with respect to candidates of federal office. States have no power to retard, impede, burden, or in any manner control the operations of constitutional laws enacted by Congress. I just wanted to read it because it said retard. That's how you use that properly in a sentence.
Called out.
Only by retards.
Someone said that in the trial the other day, that the bullets would be retarded. And I was like, oh, that's not going to make the news.
I mean, only by retards. Where was he? Nor have the respondents identified any tradition of state enforcement of Section 3 against federal office holders or candidates in the years following ratification of the 14th Amendment. Such a lack of historical precedent is generally a telling indication of a severe constitutional problem with the asserted power. And it is an especially telling sign here because, as noted, states did disqualify persons from holding state office following ratification of the 14th Amendment. That pattern of disqualification with respect to state but not federal offices provides persuasive evidence of a general understanding that the states lack enforcement power with respect to the latter. Instead, it is Congress that has long given effect to Section 3 with respect to would-be or existing federal office holders. Shortly after ratification of the amendment, Congress enacted the Enforcement Act of 1870. The act authorized federal district attorneys to bring civil actions in federal court to remove anyone holding non-legislative office, federal or state, in violation of Section 3, and made holding or attempting to hold office in violation of Section 3 a federal crime. In the years following ratification, the House and Senate exercised their unique power under Section 1 to adjudicate challenges contending that certain prospective or sitting members should not take or retain their seats due to Section 3. And the Confiscation Act of 1862, which predated Section 3, effectively provided an additional procedure for enforcing disqualification. That law made engaging in insurrection or rebellion, among other acts, a federal crime punishable by disqualification from holding office under the United States. A successor to the provisions remains on the books today. Oh, you guys picked the wrong law.
Right.
Moreover, permitting state enforcement of Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates would raise serious questions about the scope of that power. Section 5 limits congressional legislation enforcing Section 3 because Section 5 is strictly remedial, kind of like how I read. To comply with that limitation, Congress must tailor its legislative scheme to remedying or preventing the specific conduct that the relevant provision prohibits. Section 3, unlike other provisions of the 14th Amendment, prescribes conduct of individuals. It bars persons from holding office after taking a qualifying oath and then engaging in insurrection or rebellion. Nothing more. Any congressional legislation enforcing Section 3 must, like the Enforcement Act of 1870 and Section 2383, reflect congruence and proportionality between preventing or remedying that conduct and the means adopted to the end. Oh, that conduct and the means adopted to that end. Neither we nor the respondents are aware of any other legislation by Congress to enforce Section 3. Any state enforcement of Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates, though, would not derive from Section 5, which confer power only on the Congress. As a result, such state enforcement might be argued to sweep more broadly than congressional enforcement could under our precedents. But the notion that the Constitution grants the state freer reign than Congress to decide how Section 3 should be enforced with respect to federal offices is simply implausible. Finally, state enforcement of Section 3 with respect to the presidency would raise heightened concerns. In the context of a presidential election, state-imposed restrictions implicate a uniquely important national interest. But state-by-state resolution of the question whether Section 3 bars a particular candidate for president from serving would be quite unlikely to yield a uniform answer consistent with the basic principle that the president represents all the voters in the nation. Conflicting state outcomes concerning the same candidate could result not just from differing views of the merits, but from variations in state law governing the proceedings that are necessary to make Section 3 disqualification determinations. Okay, so maybe this is why Illinois threw their hat in the ring. They're like, they're not going to blame this shit on us. We also disagreed. Because does it sound like because not every state is on board with this, that means it's... that's how I'm reading this anyways.
Yeah,
Conflicting state outcomes. Different view, but
like if they kept Trump off the California ballot, I don't think anyone would care. It wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, we'd write him in. Some states might allow a Section 3 challenge to succeed based on a preponderance of the evidence, while others might require a heightened showing. Certain evidence, like the congressional report on which the lower courts relied here, might be admissible in some states, but inadmissible hearsay in others. Okay, so yes, there's different bars in different states. This can't be applied nationwide, which is what the president is. The president is, yes, exactly. This is a nationwide question. Your fucking state's problems can eat dicks for a few moments. Disqualification might be possible only through criminal prosecution as opposed to expedited civil proceedings in particular states. Indeed, in some states, unlike Colorado or Maine, where the Secretary of State recently issued an order excluding former President Trump. We see you, Maine. We see you, Maine. Fix your shit.
Yeah, live for your die my ass.
Procedures for excluding an ineligible candidate from the ballot may not exist at all. The result could well be that a single candidate could be declared ineligible in some states, but not others, based on the same conduct, or perhaps even the same factual record. The patchwork that would likely result from state enforcement would sever the direct link that the framers found so critical between the national government and the people of the United States as a whole. Amen. But in a presidential election, the impact of the votes cast in each state is affected by the votes cast, or in this case, the votes not allowed to be cast for the various candidates in other states. As evolving electoral map could dramatically change the behavior of voters, parties, and states across the country in different ways and at different times. The disruption would be all the more acute and could nullify the votes of millions and change the election results if Section 3 enforcement were attempted after the nation has voted. Nothing in the Constitution requires that we endure such chaos, arriving at any time or different times up to and perhaps beyond the inauguration.
You want a civil war, this is how you get one.
For the reasons given, responsibility for enforcing Section 3 against federal office holders and candidates rests with Congress and not the states. The judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court, therefore, cannot stand. All 9 members of the court agree with that result. Our colleagues writing separately further agree with many of the reasons this opinion provides for reaching it. So far as we can tell, they object only to our taking into account the distinct way Section 3 works and the fact that Section 5 vests in Congress the power to enforce it. These are not the only reasons the states lack power to enforce this particular constitutional provision with respect to federal officers. They are important ones, and it is a combination of all the reasons set forth in this opinion, not as some of our colleagues would have it, just one particular rationale that resolves this case. In our view, each of these reasons is necessary to provide a complete explanation for the judgment of the court unanimously reaches. The judgment of the Colorado Supreme Court is reversed. The mandate shall issue forthwith. It is so ordered.
You need one of those voice changers.
Like, it is finished.
Yeah.
That was it. Wait.
James Earl Jones voice. It is so ordered.
Hold on. Let me go. What? Okay. So this is 13. What is this? Opinion of Justice Barrett. What else do we have here? Opinion of three of them. Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson.
Like when it's 9-0, that means whoever brought it fucked up. It's real bad. You couldn't even get one person to like give you a pity vote.
They had a lot to say about it. You want to read these opinions?
That's up to you.
So
I think the Democratic appointed judges had to go with the 9-0 because they knew, you know, you're creating a weapon that's going to shoot all of our Democratic presidents in the head going forward.
Let's see. So this one is short. Justice Barrett's opinion is short. It says, Justice Barrett concurring in part and concurring in the judgment. I join parts 1, 2b of the court's opinion. I agree that states lack the power to enforce Section 3 against presidential candidates. That principle is sufficient to resolve this case, and I would decide no more than that. This suit was brought by Colorado voters under state law in state court. It does not require us to address the complicated question whether federal legislation is the exclusive vehicle through which Section 3 can be enforced. The majority's choice of a different path leaves the remaining justices with the choice of how to respond. In my judgment, this is not the time to amplify disagreement with stridency. The court has settled the politically charged issue in the volatile season of a presidential election, particularly in the circumstances. Writings on the court should turn the nation's temperature down, not up. For present purposes, our differences are far less important than our unanimity. Oh, that was hard.
Aluminium.
And when I looked at it harder, yeah, it got worse. I tried to focus on too many vowels. My brain won't do it. All 9 justices agreed on the outcome of this case. This is a message Americans should take home. All right, Justice. And then there's 5 pages from a few of them who I'm going to be so happy. Let's read it. Justice Sotomayor, Justice Kagan, and Justice Jackson concurring in the judgment. It is not necessary to decide more to dispose of a case than it is necessary not. Then it is necessary not to decide more. Okay, so they agree with what she just said. That fundamental principle of judicial restraint is practically as old as our republic. The court is authorized to say what the law is only because those who apply rule to particular cases must, of necessity, expound and interpret that rule. Today, the court departs from that vital principle, deciding not just this case, but challenges that might arise in the future. In this case, the court must decide whether Colorado may keep a presidential candidate off the ballot on the grounds that he is an oath-breaking insurrectionist and thus disqualified from holding federal office under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Allowing Colorado to do so would, we agree, create a chaotic state-by-state patchwork at odds with our nation's federalism principles. That is enough to resolve this case. Yet the majority go further. Even though all 9 members of the court agree that this independent and sufficient rationale resolve the case, 5 justices go on. They decide novel constitutional questions to insulate this court and petitioner from further controversy. Although only an individual state's actions is at issue here, the majority opines on which federal actors may enforce Section 3 and how they must do so. The majority announces that a disqualification for insurrection can occur only when Congress enacts a particular kind of legislation pursuant to Section 5 of the 14th Amendment. In doing so, the majority shuts the door on other potential means of federal enforcement. We cannot join an opinion that decides momentous and difficult issues unnecessarily, and we therefore concur only in the judgment. Our Constitution.
See Colorado, see how bad we spanked Colorado? The rest of you states, look at that asshole when we just gave them. Don't try it.
That's not what they're saying. They're saying they went a little too far in how they kept talking about it, that they should have just come to the conclusion because they agree with the conclusion. They just don't agree with how many extra words they use to get there because they feel like it insulates, in particular, probably Trump. Our Constitution leaves some question to the states while committing others to the federal government. Federalism principles embedded in that constitutional structure decide this case. States cannot use their control over the ballot to undermine the national government. States' restrictions in that context implicate a uniquely important national interest extended beyond a state's own borders. No doubt, states have significant authority over presidential electors and in turn presidential elections. That power, however, is limited by other constitutional constraints, including federalism principles. So that is what it came down to for them. It's a national interest, and your state can just get bent because we don't care if you want to cry today.
Right, exactly.
Rub some dirt in it, and we're going to move on.
Like, could you imagine if federal people could just start nuking state governors because hey, we're just gonna take DeSantis off the ballot because he said gay. Don't say gay bill. Like,
you're right.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah. The majority rests on such principles when it explains why Colorado cannot take petitioner off the ballot. State-by-state resolutions of the question whether Section 3 bars a particular candidate for president when serving. The majority explains would be quite unlikely to yield a uniform answer consistent with the basic principles that the president represents all the voters of the nation. That is especially so, the majority adds, because different states can reach conflicting outcomes concerning the same candidate, not just from differing views of the merits, but from variations in state law governing the proceedings. The contrary conclusion is that a handful of officials in a few states could decide the nation's next president would be especially surprising with respect to Section 3. Wait, the contrary conclusion that a handful of officials in a few states could decide the nation's next president would be especially surprising with respect to Section 3. Okay. The Reconstruction amendments were specifically designed as expansion of federal power and an intrusion of state sovereignty. Section 3 marked the first time the Constitution placed substantive limits on a state's authority to choose its own officials. Given that context, it would defy logic for Section 3 to give states new powers to determine who may hold the presidency. That makes sense, right? It never really occurred to me that they're like, our state doesn't want you to be our president. You're like, we're not your president, derp shit. It's everyone's president, That provides a secure and sufficient basis to resolve this case. To allow Colorado to take a presidential candidate off the ballot under Section 3 would imperil the framers' vision of a federal government directly responsible to the people. The court should have started and ended its opinion with this conclusion. Yet the court continues on to resolve questions not before us. In a case involving no federal action whatsoever, the court opines on how federal enforcement of Section 3 must proceed. Congress, the majority says, must enact legislation under Section 5 prescribing the procedures to ascertain what particular individuals should be disqualified. Oh no, what have I done? These musings are as inadequately supported as they are gratuitous. To start, nothing in Section 3's text supports the majority's view of how federal disqualification efforts must operate. Section 3 states simply that no person shall hold certain offices. Nothing in that unequivocal bar suggests that implementing legislation enacted under Section 5 is critical. In fact, the text cuts the opposite way. Section 3 provides that when an oath-breaking insurrectionist is disqualified, Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. It is hard to understand why the Constitution would require a congressional supermajority to remove a disqualification if a simple majority could nullify Section 3.
I have a question. Up on that page a little bit, it has no with a bracket around the end. What does that mean? Anything specific?
On this page,
where it says no person shall hold certain positions, the no is bracketed. I'm just curious as to if there's a meaning behind the bracketing.
This is how you would write it. I don't exactly know, but this is how you would write it so that it makes sense when you're reading it. But it's a quote, and the N is what they've added themselves. So maybe it said, I don't know. I don't know what its original text said, but they're basically putting the bracket there to say like this helps make. I don't know. It doesn't mean any.
My mind why they bracketed the N.
Yeah, there's some kind of rule that they're following here.
See if it comes up again.
And I'm just skipping down. Similarly, nothing else in the rest of the 14th Amendment supports the majority's view. Section 5 gives Congress the power to enforce the amendment by appropriate legislation. Remedial legislation of any kind, however, is not required. Blah, blah, blah. Ultimately, under the guise of providing a more complete explanation of the judgment, the majority resolves many unsettled questions. It forecloses judicial enforcement and that provision, such as might occur when a party is prosecuted by an insurrectionist, and raises a defense on that score. The majority further holds that any legislation to enforce this provision must prescribe certain procedures tailored to Section 3, ruling out enforcement under general federal statutes requiring the government to comply with the law. By resolving these and other questions, the majority attempts to insulate all alleged insurrectionists from future challenges to their holding federal office.
Oh, no.
I think they must have to put this in there. So in case this becomes challenged, it's like you can't challenge something that wasn't on the record. This becomes part of the record so they can bring it up. Like even at that time, these 3 justices really didn't agree with this small portion of this bigger thing. So they'll be able to use this, cite this. And that's why this is in here. But hey, they still agree that this is the way that it should have gone the whole time. And that, secretaries of states will overstep their powers if they are given the opportunity. Yeah?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so Super Tuesday's tomorrow. Trump is on the ballots in the... Wait, let me look again. Was it just Colorado? Oh, Maine? Colorado? Is Illinois on here? So Maine,
so usually shit comes out just before Super Tuesdays, so there could be more breaking news today.
Well, this had to come out today because tomorrow is the primary that this was about.
Oh, but the parties have their little dirty backroom games, like to have like news pop up on Super Tuesday, and they like hold it for months and wait for Super Tuesday to pop it off to try and influence people.
Well, you know what's really ironic? I'm just realizing is that Fannie tried to have this case like happening on Super Tuesday. I think it was Fannie that wanted to do this. And she's the one that we're all waiting on Super Tuesday for the verdict to see if she gets disqualified. Damn. No weapon to... She'll be... whatever she quoted in the damn church.
Every finger you point, 3 point back at you, bitch.
Wow.
She's in trouble. She's in big trouble.
She thought she could lie to Jesus. She done got lynched. All right. That only took an hour. That's pretty good. Is there anything else? Should I Google up?
I got a little law case. I don't know if we care about it or not, but I'll throw it in the Rumble chat so anybody can click it. You like Snoop, right?
Snoop Lion?
Nope, Soup Cereal.
Who's? Okay, hold on. Let me just figure out what you're saying. Snoop cereal? I've never heard of this.
I wear this product.
Okay. Well, it's because racism, they're suing. That's why you haven't heard of it, because they're not letting a black man become independently wealthy is like the case.
Snoop Dogg, Master P sue Walmart, claiming company intentionally kept Snoop cereal off the shelves. These son of a bitches. Let's find out.
And it's all because of racism.
Back.
Lay back.
My mind, my money, my money, my mind.
Back before Snoop became trans.
On his mind and his business ventures, the Long Beach rapper and his fellow musician turned businessman Master P are taking legal action against a major retailer. They claim they've been discriminated against. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes has the story.
Snoop Dogg and rap laid back go hand in hand, but Snoop Dogg and cereal?
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg.
Well, that's it.
Does this guy not smoke any fucking weed? We're going to mix all these together tonight in one big ass salad bowl, actually.
I don't know where they're going to be sourcing this from. I have questions, Snoop.
Let's keep
going. Duo he's hoping will go spoon in mouth. But the Long Beach-born rapper and his cereal business partner, rapper Master P, say cereal
Snoop right
giant
Sober
Walmart
Snoop looks
have
stupid.
quashed their efforts to get Snoop cereal on store shelves.
How come all these knockoff brands are successful and we don't have a chance?
This was collusion. This was breach of contract.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing Broadus Foods, the company formed by Snoop Dogg and Master P.
Who was Johnny Depp's
They are
lawyer?
suing
Because
Post
that Ben
and
Crump
Walmart.
name sounds very
Crump released
familiar, and I
this
don't know
video.
why.
He said,
Crump.
Ben Crump.
Ben Crump sounds like a politician. Ben.
Does it sound familiar to you, or just me?
No, but I'm Googling it just to see. Ben Crump. Oh. His practice is focused on cases such as those of Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Michael Brown, George Floyd, Keenan Anderson, Randy Cox, Tyree Nichols. Man, he has a whole say my name.
He's a black. He only does black folk. He only represents black folk.
No, he's like he's an ambulance chaser, but it was like there used to be, there's like Gloria something that does this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they show up to all of these civil rights cases, or
Al Sharpton
and like have their hand on their back. Wherever there's a lot of money that can happen.
Yeah, I knew the name.
Good job.
That shows people searching Walmart shelves across the country, failing to find Snoop cereal.
Where's
He
my
says
Snoop
that's
Dogg?
despite having a sales contract with Walmart and Post to carry their products. So where was all the Snoop cereal? According to the video, it was still sealed in its shipping boxes.
People who wanted affordable, nutritious cereal.
Nutritious.
could
Oh,
not find
careful.
them.
There's a panda on that. I don't trust
Careful,
it.
nutritious. There is no food in those Fruit Loops.
In part, Walmart values our relationship with our suppliers, and we have a strong history of supporting entrepreneurs. Many factors affect the sales of any given product, including consumer demand, seasonality,
Well,
and
they can't demand it if they can't find it.
Oh, they
But
said it's too
Snoop and Master
expensive.
P say this is more than just a standard business disagreement affecting two wealthy rappers. They say it could bleed down to other Black-owned companies that are not getting a fair chance at building generational wealth.
Yeah.
This is about minority-owned companies getting a fair share.
Give Black-owned businesses a genuine chance to succeed and build the intergenerational wealth.
So I wonder if this comes down
promised by the
to
American
Snoop didn't
dream.
pay for the shelf space.
Westchester,
You know,
Rob
I
Hayes,
don't know if you guys do that in the
ABC7
States, but
Eyewitness
companies have to
News.
pay for like
Hello, I'm Mark Brown.
preferred shelf spaces.
Well, they said they had a contract with Walmart, so any type of shelf space besides like the storeroom is probably in the contract, I would assume.
I like to see the contract because there's two, like I know some companies will have shelf space. So they'll say, yeah, we'll sell your product, but we're going to put it on the bottom shelf or everyone has to get on their fucking knees and go get it instead of putting it at easy reach level. So the preferred ones, they'll put their own stuff like the Post, the big brand name, right at eye level, and the no-name brands are down on the floor because they're not paying for that prime shelf level. I wonder if that had something to do with it. Or if Post may have bought all the prime shelf space away from them and they weren't allowed to. It'd be an interesting case to follow. I don't think it has anything to do with racism, but fuck knows.
I was looking for like documents or anything. I don't see anything easily. They announced it on Wednesday. When was this?
I never heard of Snoop cereal before.
February.
But if Walmart signed a contract to sell it, that's crazy that they wouldn't even put it on the shelf. So something's.
Yeah, maybe they just overbooked their shelves and they're like, as soon as we run out of like Jimmy Jams, then we'll put on.
Shouldn't you have to take, if you overbook, shouldn't it be Walmart that has to take their Walmart brand off their shelf and make?
Dude, Walmart bought them. They're incentivized to sell them, but on.
Or is Walmart selling them on like?
He's like, you're gonna
consignment.
I don't. What do you mean?
Like, does Walmart? They don't actually buy the cereal and then resell it. They just hold it and take a cut of the profits, don't they?
I figured that as soon as
if I was selling
I was
selling Nova cereal for $10, Walmart will sell it for $10, but they get $2 off of it, and I get $8 because Walmart's going to do me a favor.
I don't think it's an assignment thing. They contract. They want to buy 100 boxes of cereal, so you sell them 100 boxes of cereal. At the end of the day, they're going to come back and they'll be like, "All right, so you were paid for your 100 cereal, but look, we sold like 2 boxes, so your next contract is going to be way lower because we can't even sell your cereal."
I don't think Walmart buys that. I don't think they do it like that. They'd lose too much money with stuff not being sold, right? I don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't think Walmart buys the product. I think they make money off of the sales.
So when you have a contract with Walmart, it means what? That
That
they're just
Walmart's agreeing that they will warehouse your product, they will receive your product, they will put your product on the shelves, and they will take a percentage.
so Walmart stores, you're saying, are more like Amazon.
I think so. Otherwise, they'd lose too much money. Like, think if that was fresh good produce, they'd be losing
What do
money
you
every
mean?
time.
That's
they throw
why
out
they have to
rotten
make
food.
good contracts. Of course they do. Like, that's why they keep their prices where they are, and supply and demand is what it is. And they'll come back to Snoop later and go, hey, we only sold 2 boxes. Your contract's like, we can't actually sell this. And so Snoop is like, if it's not on the shelf, how could you sell it? You're basically fucking me in the moment because my
That's what I
product's
mean. I
not
think
out there gaining
that seems
customers.
weird for Walmart to do. Like, why would Walmart do that? Wouldn't they want to sell as much as possible to make the most of money?
Unless they just want to be like, we tried, Snoop, we had your contract, but you didn't sell any cereal. And Snoop's like, nah, actually, you didn't put it on the shelf. Because Snoop gets paid one way or another. He's just going to not get a new contract, which is where he'll be future paid. I'm pretty sure Walmart's not consignment.
No, I don't think Walmart's doing that. I don't think they're buying millions of boxes of Snoop cereal in the hopes it might sell. I don't think it works that way. Any retailers out there?
I have a dream that one day my children can have black cereal because not enough things are my blackism. That actually what they do, the warehouse has purchased that by shits below market value because of their buying power, and then it goes to a warehouse and distributed to stores depending on how. Thank you, Witchy. We do have a retailer in the house.
Interesting. We'll see where it goes. They'll probably end up having to settle before going to court. I don't think. Yeah, because Snoop's got money for big lawyers, right? So Walmart can't out lawyer them with money. I mean, they could try, but.
They're basically like, we might not have sold any cereal, but now that we've put you on blast for being racialistic, y'all are going to sign our next contract. How can you not?
Right.
So, I mean, that cereal will show up at your local Dollar General in the next few months, right before it expires. If you feel like having Snoop cereal, do actual support small businesses and go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General instead of Walmart. But like Master P, you're really going to sit here and cry that they're holding down the black man? I don't know if this is still true, but I thought this was like one of the richest black dudes that we know. Yeah, sober Snoop sucks.
Did you know he was a basketball player?
No, I don't believe it.
He was actually had a jersey and was on the floor for the Toronto Raptors back in the 96, 97.
He made the team.
He made the team.
He was
cut very quickly after that, but he made the team.
Hey, he made the team. Was he already a rapper then?
A budding star. I think that's probably how he got on there, because Toronto was trying anything to get fans to watch because it was Canadian basketball team.
Which he said now the stores could in theory be obligated to put it on the shelves. It just depends on the merchandiser attached to the product to push it and the placement on the shelves. Could in theory, yeah. Sorry, I'm using Texas speech. I'm with you, girl. I got you.
One of my neighbors works at Walmart. I should hit her up if I ever bump into her about this. Like, how do you guys put stuff on the shelves?
Explain to me how your contracting works.
Why do you hate black people?
They're like, we get a fucking schematic. It's like black and white and shit. And they say, put A here. And we figure out what A is and we put it there.
Well, I could see if she could give me like inside documents and stuff.
Yes. Please risk your job for Nova and our show.
Well, how would they know it came from her?
I guess they wouldn't.
Right.
Inside documents. What the fuck? There's no inside the stalkers on the shelves, they don't have the information we want. We're gonna need whoever that girl is.
No, she started as a low level. She's up in like management now. So she knows more stuff. Yeah.
We do need her. So we gotta know.
How
do you decide who to boycott and blacklist? Ask how they do that. That's what we need to know. That's exactly what it is. Every 6-week cycle, there are layouts for the shelves and when the product and where the product goes, and it's all dependent on how the merchandiser lays it out, and the store has nothing to do with it. Yeah, that's we're understanding this similarly. I am with that.
I have zero understanding. but I'm a dude.
You have a bigger brain. Why do you have zero less
Bigger
understanding?
brain?
Yeah. Less connections, clearly, but definitely a bigger brain than me and Witchy.
You got a Cadillac, but you only got 3 wheels.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay, are we done? What time? We're an hour and 15 minutes. I honestly didn't look at anything. I'm glad that thing was only 20 pages.
What have we got here? Don't want that one. Don't want that one. You like rock?
Okay. Rocks?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, you're a rock hound, aren't you?
Simone.
A stony person? Someone who likes that stuff?
Don't buy another toothbrush until you see what this one can do. Using it only takes 30 seconds.
Oh wait, let me back up.
And I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all.
Can you show me your fingernails while your hands out? Just for.
What do you mean?
I was gonna get you to do the Hitler fucking hail.
Oh.
You have your fist out there, so show me your fingers.
Okay. Like I said yesterday, don't get that thing stuck in your head. Unless you're blackety black, y'all.
Biggity black, yeah.
Yeah, I already liked it, so I can't do that again. Did you do a link here?
Yes. And hang on, I gotta find the skip ahead to because a lot of it's just bullshit talking. Are opals valuable, like as a rock person?
So I thought this girl was working out like crazy, but she wasn't.
Hold on. I don't understand. I don't know their value. I would assume that they are valuable.
Okay, I think it's the first 30 seconds, so we're all right.
Let me get there. Hey, girl, what did
I don't think I could fuck her.
That mouth do? Well, when you're like in the middle of working out, when you're all chiseled, it is pretty gross. But you saw her just a second. Can you back up on ads? Oh, what a fail. We don't care then. Okay, first 30 seconds.
So these guys digging my first thing was like they're digging in a mine. They have no like support beams to stop those rocks from falling on their head above them. And you can see how easily the rocks fall down because he's just sticking a stick into this hole and it's just pouring out.
Well, they probably dynamited this hole so they know what they're doing.
But what's stopping the rest of the rock from caving in on his ass?
They didn't break it with dynamite.
Anyway, keep playing.
Everybody.
Or God. That was the right choice. God is. That's easy answer.
They're stealing God's jewelry, though.
Season. So we're making it rain.
He's gonna shine a flashlight in there with a UV light to see how many opals are in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're opals in that dirt that's all pouring out of there too.
She's flowing. We'll put the black light up here now.
Oh, excellent.
Some potential up in here.
Look at all that money.
Oh my gosh. We found literally Aladdin's cave. Check that out.
Straight ahead, down the bottom, even down here, right on this bit. And then
it's all pieces of opal. That's insane.
Look at that big chunk straight up the center.
Mate.
That's a nice little find.
This is like...
Yeah. I mean, opal miners.
I remember my grandparents had like an opal coaster for coffee, and it was like because they're all it was cool to look at as a kid, but I mean, if it's in as a coffee coaster, how valuable is it?
It's clearly not rare. I mean, it's precious. Let's find out about opals. Maybe we'll ask the AI. This is something we could rekindle our friendship. Me and the AI. Are opals?
You're white. That's never gonna work.
Valuable. It doesn't know that. I'm going to say it with slang. Valuable.
Oh, yes. She's a Bonix.
Yeah, I'm going to say yo at the end and see. This will trick it. Oh, shoot. I didn't spell that. That's more of the culture. Opals are indeed unique and valuable gemstones. Let's explore their fascinating characteristics. Okay. Common and precious. They could go up to 6,000 to 8,000 per carat, the more rare ones.
That's decent, isn't it?
It seems decent. Let's ask about diamonds. Okay, how much? We'll compare it to something
Diamonds
that we
are
know.
very wide. Like they're like the woman diamonds, and then there's the drill bit garbage diamonds.
They should be like the same scale though, like X amount per carat to this to that. Blah 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 blah. Rarity value. Yada yada yada. So that's the same. Oh, 1 carat. Oh, slow down, slow down. Okay, stop responding. I believe you.
So
they could
determine how the cut and clarity.
15,000, 1,900 to 15,000, and the opal was the good ones up to 8,000. So that's not cheap.
Well, if he's digging them out with that little labor,
you didn't see it all though. I don't think.
No, you didn't see them tunneling, but the
cave is clearly already there. Most of it's already done, but damn. Must be hard to get to where they were. Maybe that opal mines are like, let's find out. Where are opals?
I just thought it was neat too that they could just use black light to find it really easy instead of like metal detectors and all this other stuff.
Yeah, metal detector not going to help you so much. Australia. Oh, so you have to go to Australia or Ethiopia? Where else? Nevada. I don't even have to go for black opal.
I wonder if black's worth less.
It's the famous for rare and fabulous. Sounds wonderful.
Fabulous.
It's only found in Nevada and South Wales, so that's got to be some kind of
pretty rare
mark in my flat Earth globe or scheme. Okay, cool. So yeah, those guys are pretty dope. Oh, there's oh, I think it's moonstone. Tell me about a moonstone. What is a moonstone?
And quartz. Apparently quartz is worth money, but I don't know why, because it's so ubiquitous everywhere.
Quartz?
I know it vibrates. It has its own frequency because that's what they use to power a watch battery. Instead of having a battery in your watch, you use like quartz or something.
What?
You haven't heard of that? Type in quartz watch. Yeah, it has like a natural frequency in the rock. It vibrates or something.
I didn't ask much, but I did say a quartz watch is a timepiece that uses an electronic oscillator regulated by a quartz crystal to keep precise time.
Yeah,
the quartz crystal oscillator. Inside a quartz watch, a battery sends electricity through an electric circuit. The heart of the watch is a quartz crystal that vibrates at a precise frequency, typically 32,768 hertz. The crystal's vibrations serve as a stable time base for the watch.
So you don't have to, like, you know, the old watches with all the gears and stuff that would like rotate, they would like eventually slow down or speed up depending on. So this has like a set frequency for the hertz stone.
It says they're significantly more accurate than mechanical watches. The quartz crystal size remains relatively constant with temperature changes, ensuring stability. Fused quartz is used to maintain shape even as temperature fluctuates. Cool.
Oh, it's in TVs. Liquid crystal display. Go up a little bit more. Liquid crystal display using.
It can display using a LCD.
So maybe that's why it's valuable. They're using it in TVs and shit too.
I think they're saying like the watch face, right? LCD or mechanical faces.
Yeah. But never mind.
I think the quartz is just there to regulate the timing inside the watch. And that's just how it's displayed. I don't think it's in TVs. Okay, we're done with that. We freaking found
that's all I
out
had.
a lot of shit.
Nothing fancy, nothing special.
Snoop Dogg, Master P, opal mining, and I posted the link to the Supreme Court thing if you guys feel like, I don't know, sharing it on Twitter because you've been vindicated by the Supreme Court. You know what we're going to do tomorrow?
What?
We're going to read a book. Well, we're actually not going to read a book. It'll be the first time on a Tuesday that we don't read a book. We're going to have it read to us. You have it? Go the fuck to sleep. And we're going to have Samuel L. Jackson read it to us. Is that right?
It's definitely a partaking in the mother's lettuce.
Mary's lettuce.
So mother of God's lettuce. Just call it mother's lettuce.
Yep, mama lettuce. So that's tomorrow. That ought to be fun. It's kind of, it shouldn't be a long show.
No.
So if, you know, there's any other things. And I do kind of think that maybe Tuesdays, every Tuesday this week, we'll try to make it more of a fun type thing like that before we hop into like the new peonage that I got from Grim yesterday. It's heavy. So maybe April we go heavy about like how the system is designed to screw men in general and really the nuclear family. It's not too heavy. We'll see. We'll see how.
You're getting kicked off the internet. You can't say that.
I know. I might. That might be true. We'll have to say it before Rumble's automation catches up, and then I won't
Have you ever
tag
watched
it
any
correctly.
Thomas Swole videos?
Mm-hmm. I don't. Not recently, but yeah, I have seen some of his work.
Yeah, he's pretty big on that. He pretty much says like if welfare destroyed the nuclear family and the black community, and like the government basically tricked black women into getting married to the government instead of to a man. And
Women, it's women. It's not necessarily black women. It's. I just found out.
Well, he's talking about when it was designed originally. It wasn't to help white people at all.
Well, originally the welfare system was like in the 30s, and the women did it for their own personal. Like they wanted the government to help them have. They didn't really build it as that. They were like, we have rights to like certain welfare things like this. The federal government has to make sure that we can be safe in childbirth or something. But yeah, we definitely started the welfare system then. It's a problem. I mean, we'll see if we can talk about it.
We'll figure it out.
He also sent me this thing where Grim did, where there's this federal government. It's like incentive where the state, when it takes child support or orders child support, the federal government cuts the state a check that's an equivalent. So the state's like incentivized to ask for, you know, a max type penalty. It's like I don't know. There's a lot to it. As far as,
can they lock women up for not paying child support or only men?
Totally can. It's both. If we are ordered it, it's both. There's
I wonder if it ever
nothing
happens,
that says
though.
men only.
I'm
sure it happens.
That
because women
baffles my mind too. Like if you put a dude in jail for not paying his child support, how the fuck is he going to pay his child support?
Exactly. You take his driver's license. That's one of the things they do. They'll take your driver's license. How the fuck am I going to get to work? No, they want to fuck you. Or at least it seems like they want to fuck you.
And they
don't even love you. They just want to fuck you. They
Dry.
don't even, there's no love. Dry. Yeah, there's no lube, there's no love. It's nothing. All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning again, 9 a.m. Bring your book suggestions if you have any. We're going to let Samuel L. Jackson curse at everyone.
Short books, yeah.
Okay. Adios, dudes.
Peace.